Okay, we're recording now, so you can begin your meeting.
Excellent. Thanks, Jody. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first Safety Security Committee meeting of the 2025-26 school year. It's Tuesday, September 16th at 8:35, and we have a quorum. I want to start by welcoming fellow committee members David Felton and Steve Ezzies, our Director of Safety Security, Jim Welty. Let's see, our new superintendent, Erica Forti, who basically just began her tenure in Weston just yesterday. So welcome, as well as our tech guru, Dan DeVito. So really appreciate everyone for being here. Moving on to the committee purpose and ethos. So I've stated this in the past, and I think it's good to start off with the new school year, which is this committee was formed last year with the specific goal of promoting the safety and security of our district, as well as enhancing transparency and communication with the Weston community. It's our intent, of course, to keep people, in the community apprised of any updates and changes as it relates to physical security, cybersecurity, and mental well-being. And of course, one of our goals here is to strengthen the ties between the security personnel and the community. As I've said in past meetings, we want to hear from the community. So please feel free to reach out to us at any time with comments or questions. Moving on to approval of minutes from our last meeting on June 10th. Any comments? I assume, Steve, David, you've had a chance to take a look. Any comments or questions from those minutes?
Nope.
Okay, great. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes from the June 10th meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes from the June 10th meeting.
And second?
Second.
Perfect. Moving on to announcements here, we have a few. The first announcement, just like to remind everyone on the campus restrictions. This is something we instituted last year. Of course, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong on any of these details. But we'll start off again with the restrictions here on the campus. On September 3rd, Jim sent out a notice to the community on campus safety. I'm just reminding everyone that the Weston Public Schools are a closed campus during school hours from 7 to 4, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. That is. This includes the high school track, the tennis courts, school and other school facilities. As Jim states here, I'm looking at the letter now. This policy is in place to ensure the safety of our students and staff and to minimize disruptions to the learning environment. On the Weston Public School site under safety and security, you can also find this notice for anyone in the public. It details the policy as well as the campus map of what is accessible and not accessible during school hours. So I just want to thank everyone for abiding by the policy and ask that you reach out to us with any questions. For visitor check-in procedures, I'll bring Jim in here on this one. He could be a little bit more detailed on it. So Jim, can you run through just some of the highlights and visitor check-in procedures if you could?
Sure. Everybody hears me okay?
Sound great.
So we all four schools abide by the policy of if you are coming to one of our institutions, please schedule an appointment. Vendors, contractors, parents, we have a system called Raptor, and you're required to show your ID. The ID goes into this little machine and it prints out a visitor sticker that you're required to wear throughout your visit in one of our schools. And then when you leave, you turn that back into the security guard at the security station at the front entrance and check out of the school. It's always good to remind parents at the beginning of the school year how that process works. So make sure you bring your ID when you show up and visit one of our schools. And I will reinforce that our faculty and staff are busy from sunrise to sunset. So please pre-schedule an appointment. It's very difficult if a parent shows up and doesn't have an appointment and wants to speak to a teacher or faculty or an administrator. It's more than likely not going to happen without an appointment. And my security guards are very well versed in hey, my kid forgot his lunch or my kid forgot his backpack, that's fine. Show up, drop it off at the main entrance. Security guard will take it and get it to your child. We require the same from vendors and contractors that show up to do work. Most of the time that work is being performed after school hours, but there's an occasion where we have to get something done. Contractor shows up, has the same exact process. ID card goes in the machine, verifies who they are, and then we move forward with the sticker, and then he goes and gets his work done. And we require the same policy with we have a lot of teachers that change from school to school throughout the day, and they sign in and sign out the same way that parents and non-employees do. Going back to, if I can I just want to reinforce the campus restrictions. It's been an ongoing issue since I've been here. And just so that we're all clear, we teach a mindset of situational awareness. So we have amazing, outstanding teachers in our district. If they're outside on the playground, their head is on a swivel, because not only are they in charge of their class that is outside at the time, they're keeping an eye on their surroundings. That's called situational awareness. And if they see a neighbor or someone walking a dog through that area, they're going to say something. So there's that's the reason why we really are strict on the campus restrictions during 7 to 4, those hours. Really limited to, our community partners are limited to the sidewalk along School Road. We really are trying to reinforce the fact, do not walk through the playground areas or use the high school track or any other facilities in and around the school outside of School Road sidewalk. I just want to clarify that why we do, why it is we do that.
Have there been many incidences, if that's the right word, in the current school year? I mean, it's relatively new, but do you think the word's getting out?
I think the word's getting out. I've partnered with the town, and they've included that message in their community weekly newsletter.
Yeah,
I believe she sends it out on Fridays.
Yeah.
So we have seen a decrease in, when I first got here, there were people on the tennis courts, like in the middle of the day, and that can't happen. So
Right.
I believe our message is reaching our community partners, which is good.
Jim, one of the
Okay.
things that, sorry, Mike.
Sorry, go ahead, David.
Just real quick, Jim, one of the things that we talked about was probably the lack of awareness, right? Most people, I think in this town especially, if they're aware of something, they'll take care of it. We talked about potentially, I know some more signs got put up to kind of let people know that this area is restricted. We talked about other things like a little stripe on the walkway to sort of indicate as well. Would that be helpful, or has the number of people that have gone on campus, the signs and just the getting the message out, that's been sufficient?
I think our communication messaging has been effective. I don't want to litter our beautiful landscape with more signage. I did get a recent request to put up some more signage behind Hurlbut. That playground in the back there, during the day, sometimes parents that don't have kids at school will show up, and my security staff have informed me that it's not really well marked. So I'm exploring those options. But like I said, I don't want to just put up signs everywhere, because you get to the point where there's so many signs, nobody's reading them. So a layered approach of effective communication with the town hall, along with Erica's communication to the district community members. I think word is getting out, because like I said, I've seen a decrease in foot traffic around campus. We've identified the normal people that come walking every morning. Deb is actually one of them, Steve, with her dog, but she stays on School Road. So it's effective. Our plan is working effectively.
Make sure she follows the rules.
Especially Deb.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate that. Moving on, e-bike safety and usage. So it's funny, e-bikes for me become somewhat of a recent phenomenon here around town. I see kids riding them in the street and everything else. Apparently, I guess they're on school premises as well, Jim, where I guess there's been an increase here in students riding e-bikes and scooters back and forth to school. I know, Jim, you put out also in that September 3rd note to the community, you highlighted restrictions sort of just around e-bikes and scooters, right? No riding on campus from 7 to 4 unless you're transiting back and forth, no riding through the fields or playground areas, and that there basically, I think you noted that there weren't any charging stations available, let's say, on the ground. So not sure if you can delve into the policy a little bit more and then talk to us about, the start of the school year, any incidents or lack of sort of, what you've noticed to start off of these first few weeks.
So again, with the walkers, I have seen a decrease. In the spring of last year, May, June, we were seeing a very big increase of not only e-bikes, but the e-scooters, which were creating a safety hazard. There are a lot of them. I got the SROs involved. I got the Mila safety officer involved to kind of get ahead of that. And then we started our communication campaign with partnership with the police department about e-bike restrictions. And as of October 1st, there's a whole new set of laws that are being enacted with the wattages, and I believe it's over 750. They have to have a motorcycle license endorsement on their license. They have to be a licensed driver with a motorcycle endorsement. So as of October 1st, all of that is changing.
Is that a state thing? Is that
That's
a state?
State. That's coming out of Hartford. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because we're not the only district and we're not the only town dealing with this. It's been an issue statewide because of the ease of access with the e-bikes, and the pricing has come down. So we have seen an increase in the spring, but since our communication is with not only the district, but the police department put out a communication on their social media pages as well, we've seen a decrease now of e-bikes and scooters after school and before school since the beginning of school, which, it's just a couple of weeks ago. But along with that, we understand that, if kids want to ride their bike to school and scooters to school, just do it safely. So I got with Mike Del Mastro. We're moving the bicycle rack up at the high school from near the main entrance, which creates a safety hazard. That's going to be relocated to the athletic entrance in the grass area. So listen, if you want to ride your bike to school, do it safely. Lock it. It has to be locked and secured per policy, and it cannot be plugged into one of our buildings. And the reason for that is there is so many different models coming out of these everywhere, China, Japan, that some of them are dangerous with the lithium batteries. So after speaking with the fire marshal, it's not a safe practice for us to be plugging in random bikes and scooters into outlet outside of our school. So the school will not be providing any charging stations throughout the day if you're riding your bicycle safely with a helmet on to school.
Do many kids ride bikes to school?
I've seen a couple up there, mountain bikes, but it's hit or miss. I've seen it. I mean, I've only been here since last February, but in the spring there was a lot of bicycles coming into campus. The beginning of this year, and it's been beautiful weather, a couple. That's it.
But I would think with the continued expansion of the sidewalks in town, because now the proposal is to have sidewalks, along Northfield Road, across to School Road. We'll probably see more of that, certainly in the spring. If kids are going to ride bikes, so most likely.
Yes, absolutely. And again, we embrace healthy living, but with the e-bikes, they go 30, 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
There has to be restrictions put in place for that.
Yeah. No question about it.
Jim, I know Connecticut just I don't know if it was Connecticut, but I know e-bikes in Connecticut have been clearly classified. I think it's like class 1, class 2, class 3, or
Yes.
ABC. Would it be helpful, and maybe this is part of the plan, is to just message out to the parents the class of e-bike that's allowed on campus? And it's sort of like my son who plays baseball. We know that the bat has to be stamped with a
Yeah.
string, right? So rather than getting into the weeds of pedal, no pedal, 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, the bike cannot exceed class 1 rather than, 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour. It's up to the parent to verify that the e-bike their kid is on is a class 1 e-bike, and class 2 and 3 are, for example, not allowed on campus, and just sort of message it to the community in that way.
So the police department created a great flow chart for that, and they posted it on their Instagram page. And they asked me, that I have permission to share it. I can cut and paste that into maybe Erica's weekly newsletter. It gives a breakdown of exactly what you're talking about, Dave. But again, I also put in my messaging that there's online ways to crack into that speed restrictor and override that. So I'm trying to, as a parent myself, let the other parents know, hey, this is out there. Your kid can go on YouTube and figure out how to override the speed restriction on his class 3 bike that's not supposed to go over 20, but now it does 35. But it's just awareness for parents to know that programs like that are accessible online. So yes, to answer your question, there is the detective at Weston PD made this nice flow chart that coincides with the new law, the new statute that's coming out October 1st, that classifies them into 1, 2, and 3 levels, depending on pedals, no pedals, and it really, the foundation of it is the wattage. As the wattage increases, I think 750 is the threshold where it has to be registered and insured as a motorcycle. But those are doing 50, 60 miles an hour. So I will get the original document from Weston PD, and we can post that along with another message reminding parents, because listen, we still have another month of beautiful weather. Just as a reminder, so parents are aware that that is coming out October 1st. And it's going to help for the parents that know Santa's coming, that maybe they may not want to buy the $3,000 bike that does 40 because these new restrictions are being put in place, and then they purchase the bike and then all of a sudden they have to register it and insure it. So awareness is key in this ongoing issue.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think if we just keep it simple, right, and send out whatever that graphic is that the police department created, and basically say anything above a class 1 is not allowed. But conversely, it's really interesting that kids. I'm a big supporter, of kids tinkering and the vocational tracks, right? So if there are kids out there who get their parents to buy them a class 1, and the kid figures out how to load software onto it, how to rewire it for class 3, I think that's super cool, but it's very dangerous. And so we just have to let parents know if they,
as long as they're wearing a helmet.
right, you've got to figure out, like, encourage your child to tinker, encourage your child but don't encourage them to break the law or wind up, windshield splatter. So,
but I do think it's important to include that in the superintendent's messaging to the community. I would guess that, I don't know how big the Instagram following is for the police department. I can't imagine it's that large. And I would guess that we have a much bigger megaphone than the first selectman has. So, and more importantly, I dare say more people will pay attention to their message from the schools than they will, the weekly message from the first selectman.
yeah, Steve, actually, just real quick to that point, in the middle school, I know in the high school they have the TVs, all right? And we just learned last night they've added more TVs into the high school since the kids don't have the phones to look at the schedule. If we have, I guess it's kind of a question for you, Dan. If we have TVs in the middle school and they're in common areas, can they include like a picture or a PowerPoint or whatever of something super simple kids will understand, where you've got potentially the 3 e-bikes with a very clear picture? And I think what Jim was saying is certain level of e-bike with a motor, or it has to have pedals, right? So maybe just a circle with a green for the OK e-bike and a circle with a red. And if we can just have those in the middle school on some kind
Great
of
idea.
consistent basis.
Like a safety message.
Exactly. Yeah. Because part of it, I think a lot of this, honestly, it's educating the parents, but it's also educating the kids because the kids want to have fun, but most kids don't want to wind up on the windshield of a car. So it's like it's educating them. Look, when you're on school, you don't when you're on campus, these are the rules you have to follow. When you're off campus, obviously it would be smart, but you do what you do.
Yeah, that's something we could add on our digital signage throughout the district. Our product is really robust, so we can add that to like the rotating presentations, no problem.
It's great. It's a great idea, actually.
It's a very good idea.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. Jim, do you have a sense of what's going to come out on October 1st from the state? And then after that, I guess I assume you're going to send out some communication, some update after that. But do you have any sense of what they're coming out with?
Yeah, I'm not going to bore everyone to read the statute, but
No,
it basically what the PD put together, that flow chart. I can email it out to all of you so you understand it.
Oh, that is it. Okay.
It's a square box and it has class 1, class 2, class 3, and it says the wattages, and it streamlines everything. This is going to allow police departments to have some enforcement power. Prior to this, because things in Hartford move slow, but the technology moved a lot faster than the statutes of bicycles. They were piggybacking off of regular pedal bicycles laws, riding to the extreme right, using hand signals. Now, all of a sudden, within 6 months, you have these bikes that can do 40 miles an hour. Hartford didn't catch up with that. Now they finally have. And as of October 1st, the police department now have power and enforcement power to issue infractions, seize bikes that aren't registered. And it's just going to make our roadways a lot safer. My counterparts down in Fairfield are dealing with this on a daily basis with the colleges, the post road, the buzzing downtown area. Kids are whipping in and out of foot traffic on sidewalks. It's a much bigger issue down there. But we're getting ahead of it here as well. Like I said, that was a bit of an issue in the spring with the scooters and the bicycles, the e-bikes on the sidewalks. But we got ahead of it very quickly. And thankfully, we have not had any incidents. And I think the awareness is getting out there with our communication messaging.
That's great. Awesome.
Great.
All right, let's move on as we're already sort of half time here. Safety and security presentation. So look, it's safety and security, and I'm very thankful that it's been a priority for the town. And I think with the partnership with the Weston PD, the support of the administration, the BOE, of course, and the help of the community, we've taken, I think, what was a very good security posture for the district and made it even better. And I think over the last year, we've really tried to increase the communication to the public, of course, taking into account, any sensitivities with respect to the information that we share. I'll add, in Jim's here, but the key addition, of course, this effort was hiring Jim, who arrived here last February. I think we've had a good foundation. We started making improvements even before Jim, but I think Jim, you've brought a professionalism, I think, to the security effort here, and so I think you've also done a really great job of making sure that continued progress is being made, even from when you started. And so I want to kick it over to you. I know that you have a few slides. Maybe you want to touch on a few things just to highlight some of the progress that has been made, maybe even last year, but certainly there was progress made over the summer, right? You didn't rest, and some maybe areas of focus for the upcoming school year. So I'll kick it to you, Jim.
Sure, I'm going to share my screen, I think. All right. You guys see that?
Coming up. There we go.
So just to, this is our first meeting. So comprehensive view to safety and security. We take a layered approach to safety and security. physical security, threat prevention, cybersecurity, behavioral health, which I will get into. I'm not going to read all of this, but it is available if you want to do a deep dive into it. Obviously, the physical security aspects, which we've been updating throughout the summer, are your door locks, your cameras, the infrastructure. The messaging falls under that as well for restricted access to campus, and our emergency operation plans. Threat preventions, identifying, mitigating potential threats before they materialize. This includes conducting threat assessments, which all of our district faculty members have been trained in. Threat assessment. Our SROs are trained in the behavioral threat assessments as well. The Homeland Security 5Ds, deter, detect, deny, delay, defend. It's basically, again, a layered security approach to all things physical and threat assessment and security. The deter portion is what we spoke about earlier, the signage, fencing, detecting is the threat from outside the building, cameras, lighting, communication layers, identification systems. The deter and detect, I like to use the word crime prevention through environmental design, which is it's called CTEP, SEPTED concepts. You have a well-lit, well-landscaped area with clear access points. From the interior of the building, you can see out. From the outside, you can see in. These are all things to deter potential threats outside the building. So summary of progress, you hired me. Here I am. I'm still here. Mike is the chair of the Safety and Security Committee. Meet with Mike monthly. We text regularly on all things security related to make sure we provide enough content to our partners in the community to know that they have a sense of safety when they're sending their children to school. Enhanced communications, we spoke about that with the e-bike messaging, whatever messaging I can provide to piggyback off of the superintendent's weekly updates, I will. If I feel that there's an issue or an ongoing issue, I like to get ahead of it. Restricted access, I continue to strengthen our partnership with Town Hall and reinforce that. I do have a very good relationship with Chief Henyon. So our relationship with the police department is very strong. I talk to him on a daily basis, and he's constantly supporting my efforts on all things restricted access and campus security. The buildings, we did a lot of work over the summer with adding additional access points to the high school. And why do we do that? I'll break it down real easy. Those the little fob things that you touch next to the door opens the door. We identified a lot of doors being used in the athletic wing, the cafeteria, and the science wing. When people can't access a door during the day, they tend to prop doors so they can get in and out. And that's a big no-no in the security world. So in order to combat that, we added access control points. Now the faculty and staff can use their access cards to get in and out of the door without having to prop it open. And those, again, are at the athletic wing, the cafeteria, and the science wing. And there are more to come. We're just identifying more areas that are commonly used, and I get out and talk to the administrators and the faculty on how I can make their lives easier and at the same time use security to back that up. Technology, again, it's an ongoing work in progress with updating and enhancing the security equipment with the cameras and the radios. All of the alertus emergency notification fobs, commonly referred to as panic buttons, have been rolled out and are in use. Dan has been amazing. Dan and his team has been amazing on that and reminding faculty and staff on charging them. They get automated email reminders to charge their fobs But they have been well received. We have not received any pushback. Very thankful across the district that they have an extra layer of emergency communication in case something happens, outside of the cell phone and outside of the portable radios. This summer, I was fortunate enough to have NASRO, the National Association of SROs, come in, which is an international organization, come in and conduct a 3-day class. So Weston hosted it. 7 of us were in the class, and I needed at least 15, so we reached out to our partners up in Ridgefield. My counterpart up there is a retired Fairfield captain, and he brought 7 of his security officers from Ridgefield as well. It's a 3-day course. It covers everything from physical to physical building security layers, behavioral threat assessments, mentorships, understanding the adolescent mind. I mean, it was a deep dive of 3 days, and our guards were very thankful and very happy to receive some professional development training. And I'm hoping in the future to bring some more of that into our district. It brings up morale. It shows our guards that we are embracing them and we value them for their time and service when they're working here. And it's important to give back to them in professional development training. It makes them feel valued. So that was good. We had ESY over the summer from July 7th to August 8th. And I had our guards step up. They don't have to, they're 10-month employees, but I had 4 of them come in and rotate throughout the summer. So we had a guard at Hurlbut all summer, which was very well received. We had a few issues because the playgrounds, when we have ESY going on, again, it's restricted access. So family members would come in the middle of summer and try and use the playground, but they were kindly asked to vacate the premises or go to a different playground. We had some camera coverage added on the annex buildings to cover this playground back here and the field. Awareness enhancements. I added some more beacons up at the high school. I saw a deficiency in the cafeteria, which is very loud during lunch periods. And there was only one alertus beacon, which if you're not looking in that direction, you can't hear it or see it. So we added an additional one. So now you pretty much, no matter where you sit in the cafeteria, you'll be able to see if the alertus beacon triggers a lockdown, people in the cafeteria will be able to hear it and see it. Again, the same thing with the 3 music rooms, which are very loud with instruments playing and choir singing. We added beacons in those rooms so that there's no question if that lockdown initiates, they'll be able to see that something's going on in the building. I relocated the lockdown buttons. There was one in the hallway at Hurlbut that was relocated to the security office. The one at WIS was relocated to behind the security desk. And back at Hurlbut, the button was relocated to next to the administrative assistant's desk rather than being across the room. Those are just little tactical things that I picked up on that needed to be corrected. Reposition the security desk at WIS and the middle school, again, for tactical advantage. In my observations and my experience, they were not sitting where they should have been, so we had them repositioned to a better location. Technology upgrades. Dan and his team, myself, and really have been working a lot to bring in Sandy Hook Promise. This was something that was started back when Deb was here, of rolling out an anonymous reporting system. My understanding is when I got here, there was just a phone number that you could call. But the Sandy Hook Promise anonymous reporting system is a very robust system that is comprehensive with curriculum provided at certain age levels. It's packed with all kinds of great things. I don't know if Dan, you want to speak a little bit more about that, but it is up and running. It is free. I'm sorry, it's not up and running. It's slowly getting up and running. The curriculum has to be taught to the students. And then eventually, I'd say the end of September, beginning of October, it should be good to go.
Yeah, just to kind of build off of what Jim just said, we've done training with all administrators, all staff, so it's just a matter of rolling out and talking to the students, grades 6 through 12. We have all of the marketing materials they ship to us, so once we get the students set up on how to use the product, and there's more than just how to use the anonymous reporting system. It's also, you know, developing trust with adults, and so once we get all of that curriculum rolled out, then we're going to be going live with Sandy Hook Promise.
Over the summer, we also contracted with Gaggle, which is basically it's an IT monitoring system similar to Bark, but it's a little more robust, where it has a live crisis counselors on the phone. If this monitors all district devices, if a child is logged into their Google Chromebook or logged into their school account and they search something inappropriate or express some mental health concerns, Gaggle will pick up on that. Phone rings in the crisis center, and then our district administrators are notified that there's an issue. If it's any life safety issue, that phone call goes right to the police department for a welfare check. So it's a very robust, layered system that is used in other districts, and we have it in Fairfield, and it works amazing. It's a very good system. Again, another layer of safety for our student population. We also I sent all of our radios, our antiquated radios, back to Marcus Communications for software and firmware updates, just to kind of get those up and running and make sure that they are good to go for this academic year. And again, I already covered training for our guards and administrators. We've talked about proactive approach with communication, getting word out there through messaging with the First Selectwoman's office and the police department and the superintendent's office. Prop chimes are an ongoing project for myself. Eventually we will get there. What prop chimes do is they will alert one of the security guards if someone propped the door open. It's great technology. It's a lot of work because we have so many doors, and the doors that aren't wired with access control need to be wired. So that's going to be an ongoing multi-year project to get that up and going. Professional development, already spoke about. Explore further. So I'm working on, apparently when I got here, there was a very large radio infrastructure upgrade project that started and stopped and started and stopped. And I've been working behind the scenes with some vendors to get that up and running again. I'm at the point with one of the vendors of building engineering design for what needs to happen throughout the district for upgrade radio, portable radio technology.
Can we stop there for a second?
Sure.
Just on this, because you're right, this has been a long time in coming, and in a prior iteration of radio upgrades, you know, going back a number of years, for whatever reason, when the town was doing it, they didn't think about the Board of Education. So we were actually working on two different radio systems. Are we now integrated into, or going to be integrated into, excuse me, the town's upgrade new radios that they've been spending?
So when the town, I met with Larry Roberts,
yeah,
a few weeks ago, and I also know this from Captain Joe Michelli. When the town applied for their funding for the radio infrastructure upgrade to all things public safety, that is an encrypted system on state police channels. So they had to rebuild the radio room at the bottom, at the base of the tower, which I was in 2 weeks ago. The state required all things public safety to be in a separate room from the Board of Ed radio equipment. So they had to build a separate room inside that room because it's all encrypted, which means that if you had a Radio Shack scanner, you couldn't listen in, basically in layman's terms. I wasn't here for the political landscape when Weston wasn't included in that talk. But I will say that from what I've seen in boxes of paperwork in my office, it was started and stopped and started and stopped.
Right.
So I'm really trying to work with Phil on what that funding footprint looks like, and I have been nonstop with getting companies in here to revisit that project and move forward with it, instead of just talking about it. But in the meantime, we still need radios to work, which is why our pre-existing contractor, Marcus Communications, updated all the radios, that made sure they were all good to go for this academic year. The last word I got was it was an 18-month project. If we went with Norcom. Norcom is the company that just did the police department upgrades. Police, fire, EMS.
So in layman's terms, the answer is no, we're not.
No, I made progress. They're building an engineering plan, a design. They're designing engineering plans to show where our faults are in hallways and basements and stairwells. So
Yeah.
that's farther than my predecessor got. They're putting
Okay.
pen to paper at this point. The end of last academic year, I did get that quote, and we're slowly moving forward. But like I said, it's their engineering guys now have to build coverage zones for each school, and build in channels. And I met with them over the summer and gave them a whole channel list of what's needed, what our needs are. And that was probably the end of July.
But we don't have to belabor it now, but let's you and I talk about that.
Sure.
Thanks.
Access potential solutions for reinforcement. I met with Larry Roberts a couple weeks ago, not only about the radios, but about the installing a guardrail on School Road. That is something I've been working on since I got here. There was a lot of talks of putting a fence up, putting guardrail up. The town owns the road. The town owns the snow cap, it's called. The little grass portion between the sidewalk and the curb. So I was told by the town that it needs to be DOT impact rated, which is, they're actually called Merritt Parkway guardrails. It's the same wooden block structures that are on the Merritt Parkway, that have a metal backing, that are impact rated through Connecticut DOT. We do have some quotes, and I'm waiting for one more quote from Larry, and we have to cross that bridge when we get to it. Steve, again, that'll be a funding issue that we can talk about offline.
Yep.
The police department embraces it. The chief is on board with it. So I have everyone's blessing to make it happen. We just have to figure out the logistics of it.
Okay, thanks.
So does anyone have any questions about that quick slideshow?
Jim, I'll just say that it highlights why we have you, because a lot of these things, we needed to do them before we had you, but there's just simply not enough people, right?
Yeah, Mike Del Mastro was trying to juggle facilities and security, and Phil was trying to as well. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to help out.
Yeah, if nothing else, keep that presentation handy during review period for yourself. But no, seriously, it highlights, if nothing else, obviously the commitment to the student safety, but that these are things that we want to get done, and it's just a lack of power or manpower to do it. You're here,
Right.
and you're going to see these things through to completion. I know that the door lock thing with the doors being propped open, that's a big one, but it doesn't happen overnight. It takes effort.
Yeah.
So I'm just very appreciative. I looked at that and just kind of said to myself, this is why we have you. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate it.
This is Jim, this is great. And I agree. I think the level of professionalism, I think the prioritization schedule, I think sort of keeping things moving is something that we were missing. And look, we're all glad you're here. So thanks for this. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Jim, I'll just quickly ask you, I remember when you first started, One of the things you said, I'm like, ooh, that's going to be different just being in a public school sector. When you were the captain in Fairfield, right? You asked for something, you got it done. It was on your desk within an hour. This is probably
Yeah.
not like that. So it seems like you've adjusted to.
I'm still learning how to ask Phil for his checkbook. No, in all honesty, to be completely transparent, I had never had any budgetary. I'm learning that portion of it, and I'm going to ask Erica to help me with that part of the job. I have written grants. I've explored some state grant funding. Um, but as far as the budget process,
The
I will
possibilities are
keep
different.
I will keep coming up with these great layers of security as long as you keep paying for them.
I'm happy to support you, James, in any way that I can.
I
The
appreciate
level of
it.
expertise that you bring to the district is above anything that I've ever experienced in any other district and or hear from my colleagues. So thank you, and I'm looking forward to working and partnering with you.
Me as well. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jim. Let's move on. So swatting incidents, obviously a concern for security, unfortunately not uncommon. You know, we had a swatting incident actually last January, right before you got here, Jim, if you remember sort of the reverberations of that as you were onboarding here.
Yeah.
So I'll kick it to you for any update on swatting.
So CTIC is the Connecticut Intelligence Center. That it's a fusion center, and I'm connected with them. I get updates from them monthly, weekly, daily sometimes if there's a trend in security issues going around. What I did at the beginning of this year, the end of August, is I took all the information, all the data from swatting, and put it into layman terms and made little tiny quick reference charts, and I laminated them, and I went around to each school and taught each administrative person that answers the phone what it is. Don't have anxiety. Here's what you ask, because to break it down that way for someone that's not in the public safety environment is a lot easier, and it takes a lot of stress and anxiety off that person that's answering the phone, and they get that phone call. So I broke it down into a very quick reference chart that they all have hanging next to their phones now. So knock on wood, we haven't had any this year yet. Trending, not just in Weston, but there was just a scare this morning at Darien High School, was put into a 2-hour delay. My resources are telling me that the IP address came from California, so it was kind of a quasi swatting, but they posted a picture on Instagram of an AK-47. I guess they hashtag Darien. The detectives are actively working that with ex parte search warrants and are going to get to the bottom of it. But it sounds like it's an isolated incident just to Darien. It hasn't regionalized. It hasn't trended across other districts as of right now. I did reach out to our regional school safety rep from the state, and so far so good. It's just isolated to Darien, which is good. Erica texted me at 6:30 this morning regarding an email that came out about that. But I am on it. I have my resources and my contacts, and sitting in the Mayor Parkway traffic, I was on it.
Did you have a comment, Steve?
No, no.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jim. So moving on to the bus depot. Look, in 2035, I think not far away, I believe there's a state mandate here to electrify the school bus fleet. So I do want to kick this over to Steve for some comments on the topic. Steve?
Yeah, I just want to make everyone aware of what's going on potentially what's going on with the bus depot, because 4 or 5, I can't remember, David, when that whole village district study was done with the idea of developing essentially from Norfield Road past School Road would be deemed the village district, and it could be rezoned for other uses. And I think we're all aware of what's going on with the proposed apartment building on the corner of Route 53 and Norfield Road. Michael's right. The bus depot, if this goes forward, buses have to be electrified by 2035. And it has been the recommendation in the last discussion with First Student, now this is about a year ago, that we should start, if there are grants available, you should kind of leg your way into it. And the current facility we have isn't sufficient to handle the equipment associated with electrifying buses. So the town is engaged in a study on where the bus depot could be moved to. And Phil is involved in that. I just want to go back a bit in time because I want to make sure that as this committee goes forward, that if there's any discussions of alternative uses of that property, that alternative uses away from either the Board of Education or the town, that we get engaged in that, early on, that it doesn't move forward without our engagement, because that property is 50 feet from a school. And it can't be used for anything other than town and or Board of Education use. So pre-Sandy Hook, there was, and I'm not sure who was living here at the time, Jody, you may have been here. Pre-Sandy Hook, there was a proposal which way down the road of converting one of the buildings in Hurlbut to a multi-use building, public offices for the town, and then also one floor would be used for the schools. And that was moving along. And then Sandy Hook happened, and the population said, no way are we having a multi-use building here where, anything other than school children are in that building. We can't have it. And that ended the conversation. I think we don't want to find ourselves in a position where we hear about something and then we have to react to it. That property is, will be a big parcel of land relative to what's in downtown Weston. And I just think we need to make sure that any discussions on that were included in it from the very beginning, not hearing about, oh, there's a developer who may be interested in doing something. So I'm just bringing it to everyone's attention, because this whole village district, beginning with this proposed apartment building, it's kind of picked up again. And so, we'll be hearing more about it. And we'll be hearing more about where the buses may or may not end up. I, by the way, think that if the bus depot is moved, I think that's a perfect place for a brand new police station. And let the town utilize the current facility for town offices. The egress is perfect, and it's in a perfect position to continue the support for safety for the schools, because it's, again, 50 yards from 50 feet from the school. Anyway, that was my whole point, Michael.
Yeah, and just Steve, you're 100% spot on with the history there. As far as I can remember as well, we've discussed at one point repurposing Hurlbut into partial classrooms and town offices, and that was met with crazy amount of resistance.
Yeah.
So I think you're spot on. We have to preserve that building where the buses are now. It should not be developed into a commercial building, because it is the gate, literally the physical gateway into the campus.
Yeah.
And with the town's interest, multiple times we heard about the police station being either rebuilt or the town needing more office space. So it just seems like there's a lot of make that building the police department, reclaim the current police department for town offices. It solves a lot of problems and keeps the safety literally at the entrance to the school road.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, listen, thank you for bringing this up. I'll just chime in and say, of course, I support the fact that should be not commercially developed, number one, given the safety and security concerns. Number two, Steve, as I understand it, isn't that land, isn't that under the purview of the Board of Ed anyway? So I wouldn't see a situation in which the town could move forward without even consulting with us. Is that right? Is that accurate?
I would hope so. Yeah, I actually think the property belongs to the Board of Education and not the town. We've not, there's a deed on Hurlbut, It goes back to when when the property was given to the town. We think it extends to that, but there's never been a reason to test it.
Got
So,
it.
that may unto itself stop the conversation.
Great. We'll stay tuned. But listen, I assume, and I would hope that if there was anything, even if it weren't the case, Steve, I would hope that if there was anything that the town would be moving forward with in terms of ideas about that piece of land there, that they would involve us. So I would expect
Yeah.
that from us. So okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing this up. Important topic. Moving on, I know we're at time here, coming up on time. Cybersecurity IT. I think we talked about the anonymous reporting system and the fact that we're going to move forward with education implementation, let's say into early October, which is great. Dan, I'll bring you in here just on the phone landline system. I know that there were some issues at the beginning of the school year and some parents were raising some concerns about that. There were some notices that went out. So if you can just, for clarity's sake, I think, just provide some background as to what happened and now I believe it's fixed. So
Yes.
how we went about doing that.
All right. So without getting too nerdy, but basically, for our phone system, we use digital circuits called a PRI, and we have two PRIs coming into the district that service all 6 buildings. Both PRIs went down at the same time, and so these are lines that they're different than our fiber lines. Our fiber lines are underground, they stay underground. But PRIs, they're on our road and then they end up actually on the telephone poles going down Weston Road. So both PRIs went down at the same exact time due to old wiring and squirrels, actually near the church. So they had to identify exactly where the issue was. It took them some time. We kept telling them, listen, it's both PRIs are down because we have what's called a failover. If one PRI dies, the other one picks up the slack and services all 4 buildings. However, they both went down. They didn't understand that both were down, and we kept telling them the severity of it. So it took them some time to fix it, and then they fixed it, but then they didn't fix it. It was a whole process. We have it fixed now. We are looking at what we're going to do moving forward because PRIs, although it's a newer technology, it's still older. And there's, some ideas like a more of a cloud-based phone solution for a better uptime. I always get leery when you're talking about copper circuits that are on telephone lines that are more prone to corrosion, just based on how the circuits are built. So we are looking at alternatives down the road, and so that'll probably end up making it into our budget cycle for this year as a request as to what our actual solution will be moving forward. But I do think it's time for us to move on from that. Just we've had this issue like every 6 months, and every 6 months the PRI goes down at a different location. So it's not like it's the same location. Sometimes it's squirrels. A couple times it was bees nests. So it's just, I don't like that we don't have any kind of control over that. So we're going to be looking at alternatives, and I'm going to be picking Dave's brain over that one.
And Dan, I'll just quickly chime in for those who are listening. One thing that we definitely should look at for you, for the district, is uh, in order being budget friendly so that Jim has money. We don't take all of his money. What we can look at is moving your VIA system instead of using PRIs to SIP service, which is delivered over the internet. And the SIP providers will allow you to call forward in the cloud. So so PRI technology is back in the days where Steve probably worked on a trading floor. That's how phone service was delivered.
Yeah.
So yeah, what we should definitely talk about is converting from PRI to SIP so that at least when a circuit goes out, you can call forward at the provider in the cloud. So it doesn't matter what's happening in Weston. And that could be a very inexpensive way, even potentially cost savings monthly without ripping everything out. So whenever you have the bandwidth, I would be happy to talk with you more about that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Again, we're at time here. So discussion of future topics. We've been over this. Next scheduled meeting of the Safety and Security Committee. Let's say Tuesday, October 14th at 8:30 a.m. Unless anyone has any other questions or comments, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All right, guys. We'll see you next month.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one.
Have a great day.
Bye now.